The stories presented in this video are real, but we have changed the characters' names and altered images to protect their identities. The creator of this video is not an investigative officer. These narratives have been sourced from various internet platforms. Our intent is not to accuse or target anyone in particular. Thank you for understanding.
After spending a month and a half in South America, English backpacker Grace Mullane arrived in New Zealand on November 20, 2018, for a 2-week trip. Her loved ones were worried when she abruptly vanished 10 days after arriving in Auckland. The details that followed were horrifying. What started out as a search for a lost tourist turned into a homicide investigation. Jesse Kempson was taken into custody and accused of killing Grace Mullane. How did Kempson and Grace meet? He killed her, but why? And how did he get to the authorities? Find the answers to all of these questions and learn startling facts about the Grace Mullane case by watching this video through to the conclusion. Welcome to True Crime Stories Hub. We're examining a tale today that made headlines all over the world. A case that started out as an exciting backpacking trip for a young woman quickly turned into something much more sinister. Grace Mullane had traveled to New Zealand to experience its breathtaking scenery and rich cultural heritage. However, she disappeared a few days after arriving. A distressing investigation that began as a search for a missing tourist quickly revealed a series of unsettling clues that sent authorities on a terrifying journey. The trial that followed was filled with surprises, unspoken facts, and information that even experienced investigators found difficult to understand. This is Grace Mullane's situation. David and Julian Mullane welcomed Grace Emmy Rose Mullane into the world on December 2, 1996, in Wickford, Essex, England. She had a strong relationship with her parents and her 2 older brothers, despite being the youngest of 3 siblings. Grace was a modest, kind, and lively girl who was adored by her family and friends since she was raised in a grounded household. Grace Mullane attended Brentwood Urson Covenant High School, St. Thomas More High School, and St. Joseph's Catholic Primary School before continuing her education at the University of Lincoln. She earned a degree in marketing and advertising there. Because of her disposition, self-assurance, and gregariousness, Grace was well liked by her classmates during her time in school. Because of her exuberant personality, she chose to backpack around the world in 2018 during her gap year following graduation. When Grace attended college, she was seeing a guy from high school, but they broke up during her first year. Grace was a self-reliant, self-assured single lady who talked candidly about her sexual life with her friends. People close to her claim that she told them she liked hard sex and had a special interest in BDSM. She participated in a number of online fetish communities and maintained accounts on various social media sites. Grace stated in her posts in various groups that she was willing to try new things. Although she was always extremely cautious about the psychological and physical repercussions, one of Grace's ex-partners also admitted to the public that Grace had used BDSM with them. Grace frequently worried that being open about her sexual preferences would get her into problems because it left her accessible to sexual predators. And while she was hiking in late 2018, that's just what happened. Before we continue, though, would you keep your interests and likes to yourself or share them with your pals if they could get you into trouble? Tell us in the comments section below. Grace had a strong work ethic and had a strong interest in art. She would regularly engage in art shows and share her works on social media. She wanted to explore traversing the world by herself after discovering her passion for painting. Because of this, she decided to take a year break from her routine and embark on a solo backpacking globe tour in October 2018. She began her journey from South America by purchasing tickets with her savings. Her first stop was Peru. Throughout her journey, Grace spoke with her family often and shared updates about her activities on social media. She also visited other South American nations, staying for 6 weeks before departing for New Zealand in the middle of November. Grace's family claims that she was most eager to see New Zealand on her trip and that she also intended to visit Fiji and Australia before wrapping up and heading back home. Grace Mullane checked into Base Backpackers, a backpacker hostel, on November 30, 2018. Grace had been active on Tinder since splitting from her high school sweetheart, and she carried that activity into her vacation abroad. Grace matched with Jesse Kempson on Tinder the night before she checked in to Base Backpacker. After exchanging texts with Kempson for some time, she made the decision to meet with him on December 1st. Grace didn't like his advances, even though she accepted to meet him. Eventually, though, Kempson convinced her to come to the Sky City Hotel to meet him. Grace left her hostel at 5:30 p.m. on December 1st and went to Sky City to meet Kempson. Grace believed she would enjoy her night out because she was new to both the city and the country. However, things didn't work out as expected. Grace's 22nd birthday occurred the following day, December 2nd, 2018. As soon as the date changed, her loved ones began sending her birthday messages because she was close to her parents, other family members, and friends. However, she didn't respond, which was odd coming from someone who sent her friends and family dozens of photos from her daily activities. Grace's phone was going straight to voicemail when her parents attempted to call her. Grace rarely missed calls or left her phone unattended for extended periods of time, so her family quickly realized something was up. For the next 2 days, the family kept attempting to reach her number. However, when Grace didn't respond, they made the decision to call the Auckland police. Grace Mullane was reported missing on December 5, 2018. However, the police first showed little urgency in finding her. The police rationale is that they thought Grace might have spent the night with some new companions. Another theory was that she would soon get in touch with her family because her phone might have died. However, the authorities were shocked to discover that Grace Mullane hadn't checked in after December 1st, the day she left to see Jesse Kempson, when they visited Base Backpackers Hostel to inquire about her. The fact that Grace's whole possessions were still in the hostel was even more unexpected. The search for Grace Mullane was now accelerated by the Auckland police. They started collecting CCTV footage from nearby eateries, lodging facilities, and pubs. At this point, the authorities learned that Grace had visited Sky City for a meeting. According to the CCTV footage, Kempson approached Grace with assurance before giving her an awkward hug. Following their greetings, the two walked out of the establishment and headed in the direction of Andy's Burger Bar. In addition to showing Grace's encounter with Kempson, the police obtained video also documented the events that transpired over the next few hours. The couple appeared to be enjoying themselves while sipping their drinks at the bar, and Grace's behavior didn't reveal anything concerning. Grace and Kempson gave each other several embraces and even shared a few kisses. The CCTV footage shows the duo making their way to Jesse Kempson's apartment at 9:40 p.m. the same evening. It appeared as though Grace and her date had known each other for years because of how at ease they appeared to be together. The young pair had a nice night out, as seen by the way their arms were wrapped around one another. Everything in the CCTV tape appeared to be normal until that point, with the exception of one item. As soon as Grace left her seat to visit the restroom while the couple was in the pub, Jesse Kempson began searching through the purse she had left on her seat for her items. Grace kept in contact with her friend Amina Ashcroft, who lives in England, during the date. Although Grace was enjoying her evening with Kempson, according to Amina's later claims, she also told the media that it was evident from her texts that Grace was intoxicated. Amina further disclosed that although she noticed certain warning signs in Kempson when Grace was describing him, she kept quiet because Grace was enjoying herself. Grace informed her friend that she and her date got along well, and in her final text, she promised Amina that she would get in touch with her tomorrow to update her on the situation. Authorities were unsure of Grace's date's identity until they searched her social media accounts and discovered that shortly after Grace came back from the bathroom, a commenter named Jesse Shane Kempson wrote, "Beautiful, very radiant," on her Facebook profile picture. The authorities' suspect in Grace's disappearance was identified as a result of that remark. Jesse Kempson, 26, was born in New Zealand on December 28, 1991, and was raised in Wellington. After his parents divorced when he was 9 years old, her father and his grandfather raised him primarily. In contrast to Grace's youth, Jesse had a turbulent and traumatizing upbringing, according to the police inquiry. Almost everyone referred to him as a habitual liar during the interviews with his family and friends, and he didn't seem to like anyone. According to Jesse's stepbrother, who testified before the police, Jesse was a chronic liar who enjoyed controlling others. Jesse even told some people he was dying of cancer. When the landlord learned that Jesse rarely left the apartment building and that the state benefits were covering his rent, he told the police that his initial belief that he was a top manager for a company called Woolworth and earning 6 figures a year was false. Jesse had misled several people about his line of work. He was perceived by some as a professional softball player and by others as a prosperous businessman. Jesse was actually employed as a telephone salesperson. The fact that he was sacked from his job for lying the same day he met Grace Mullane was more intriguing. The authorities recognized Jesse Kempson was their person of interest and that there was some connection between him and Grace's disappearance as soon as they were able to piece the pieces together and identify him. When the investigators arrived at Jesse's apartment complex, he was not present. He eventually reached the building, but he quickly turned around and made an effort to conceal his face from the cops as soon as he noticed them. As onlookers watched, one of the officers noticed him and pursued him. After a while, Jesse was apprehended by the police and taken in for interrogation. When questioned about what happened the night Grace vanished, Jesse Kempson told the police that he met Grace in Sky City because he wasn't sure if she was real because a lot of catfishing also occurs on Tinder. He added that after deciding to stay in contact, the couple said goodbye to one another and hugged and kissed each other goodbye at the end of the evening. The CCTV evidence that the detectives had seen made them doubt Jesse Kempson's claims. The video shows Jesse and Grace exiting an elevator and making their way to his apartment. Authorities found that Kempson had a peculiar personality after searching his studio unit and investigating him using various methods. He claimed to have recently received a diagnosis of anxiousness and was separated from his family. A Facebook post from a few weeks before to Jesse's meeting Grace drew the attention of the investigators. He expressed his sincere regret and begged everyone he had harmed for forgiveness in the post. Jesse claimed in one of the post's phrases that his conceit and selfishness had harmed his interpersonal relationships. Almost everyone who had dealt with Jesse, including the women he had dated, seems to have noticed warning signs. Even if they had only recently begun dating, they all characterized him as domineering and dominating. He presented himself as a well-dressed, sophisticated individual at first, but he quickly revealed his true nature. He tried to get as much personal information as he could from his dates by asking them about their experiences on a regular basis. The authorities meticulously examined every action made by Jesse Kempson on December 2, 2018, the day Grace Mullane was due to celebrate her 22nd birthday, after going through almost 6 gigabytes of data from the CCTV footage. At 8 a.m. on December 2nd, Jesse was seen entering an elevator by the cameras in his apartment complex. Alone, he entered the lobby of the building and then made his way to the atrium on Elliott. A few minutes later, he reached the atrium and picked up a suitcase from the baggage area. He then picked up some cleaning materials and went to check out. Jesse Kempson leased a red Toyota Corolla from an Auckland automobile rental firm at around 11 a.m. Jesse exhibited strange behavior all day long. The investigators were taken aback when they discovered that Jesse had gone on a date with a girl, but not Grace Mullane, just a few hours after obtaining the luggage and cleaning materials. In order to gather any information that could help them find Grace Mullane, the police were able to contact Jesse's Tinder date on December 2nd and conducted an interview with him. The girl reported to the police that Jesse Kempson had caused her great discomfort during the date. She further disclosed that Jesse even brought up the subject of murder with her, as well as the purchase of a huge duffel bag for sporting goods. He informed her that the idea that a killer may spend the rest of their life behind bars for one mistake was both fascinating and absurd. Have you ever gone on a first date with someone and brought up a subject as strange and frightening as murder? Let us know by leaving a comment below. Jesse Kempson said to his Tinder date that he knew a man who had asked his partner to engage in strangling and suffocating hard sex. He then disclosed that the experiment had gone awry and that the man had attempted to resuscitate the girl, but it was already too late. His friend was eventually accused of manslaughter. Jesse continued his story, telling her that the police canines could only detect corpses buried more than 4 feet underground, even though it was already unsettling enough for his date. The woman wanted to end the date right away, as it was obvious by then that she wasn't with a typical guy. Jesse Kempson offered to drive her home as she was leaving, but she turned him down. Kempson continued his day as usual, unaffected by the events of the date. He rented a rug cleaner and gathered cleaning goods. He explained that he was hiring the machine to remove red wine stains from his carpet to the rental company's staff. Jesse Kempson arrived to his apartment building just before 9 o'clock at night, according to the CCTV footage, and brought the cleaning machine to his residence on December 2nd. At 9:30 p.m., Jesse was back in the elevator of the building, but this time with a trolley that appeared to be carrying 2 bulky suitcases. Before heading back to the lobby, he placed the baggage in the trunk of his rental car. Approximately 7 a.m. Jesse Kempson purchased a shovel on December 3, 2018, on yet another dubious buying excursion. After dropping the suitcase off at a dry cleaner, he made his way to the vehicle wash. Before giving the automobile back to the rental company, Jesse was seen power washing it on the CCTV camera at the car wash. CCTV cameras located throughout Auckland caught Jesse Kempson throwing bags in various trash on December 5, 2018. In order to assist the authorities in their hunt for his daughter, Grace's father took a plane to Auckland on December 6th. Additionally, he begged the public to assist in finding his daughter. David Mullane seemed understandably distraught during a press conference with an Auckland police official, pausing several times to gather himself. A person of interest connected to Grace's disappearance has been identified, the police official informed the reporters. Jesse Kempson told detectives during his initial interview with Auckland police that he had last seen Grace Mullane at 10 p.m. When they bid each other farewell on December 1st, they never saw her again. She later blocked him on Tinder, he also told the cops. Jesse's testimony had changed by the time the authorities re-interviewed him a few days later. He claimed in the second interview that the duo was extremely inebriated when they got back to his flat and began making out. Then he informed the authorities that Grace abruptly stopped playing music and began discussing bondage and 50 Shades of Grey. After they finished talking, he said, they had intercourse, and Grace eventually told him about some of the things she enjoyed doing during sex and had done with her former partner. Grace then began biting him and urged him to do the same to her. She agreed when he asked whether she was certain about it. Jesse went on to tell the police that after Grace spanked him, she suffocated him by holding him around the neck. Then she requested that he treat her in the same way. Jesse claims that by the time they had finished having intercourse, they were on the floor, and he proceeded to the bathroom to shower. He claimed that he unintentionally dozed off in the shower and that he woke up before returning to his bed. However, he assumed Grace had departed because he was unable to see or feel her in the darkened room. However, he was startled to discover Grace on the floor with blood oozing from her nose when he woke up the following morning. Jesse insisted over and again that he hadn't killed her and that they had just had violent sex. Upon searching Jesse Kempson's flat, the police discovered that Grace's blood was all over the carpet, which contradicted the account Jesse had given. He consented to show the police the location of Grace's burial when they inquired about her remains. At 4 p.m. on December 9, 2018, The body of Grace Mullane was discovered in the Waitakere Ranges, 12 miles west of Auckland. In an interview with the media, Detective Inspector Scott Beard described how he found Grace's body. He stated that the formal identification procedure would be started after they discovered a body they thought belonged to Grace. The detectives concluded that it was Grace's body based on the evidence that had been gathered over the previous 4 days, even though the identification process had not yet begun. Additionally, Detective Inspector Scott Beard expressed his condolences to the Mullane family, saying that this period would have been intolerable for them. On December 10, 2018, Jesse Kempson appeared in court for the first time and was accused with killing Grace Mullane. However, his identity was suppressed due to a defense appeal that automatically resulted in a 20-day temporary name suspension. Although his name and other details were prohibited by New Zealand media outlets, identity suppression was not enforced outside of the country, and Jesse Kempson's name was included in reportage by many English newspapers and channels. Jesse Kempson entered a not guilty plea when he appeared in the Auckland High Court on January 16, 2019. Until his attorneys appealed, his identity was still secret. On February 7, 2019, the Auckland High Court heard the appeal and overturned its ruling, so reversing Jesse Kempson's name suspension. On November 4, 2019, the trial for the murder of Grace Mullane started. The autopsy report that was shown in court was horrific and revealed that Grace had been strangled. In addition, she appeared to have been pinned down because of the injuries on her arms and chest. It was also discovered that Grace died as a result of a significant amount of force being applied to her neck for about 5 minutes. Jesse had also lied to the police during the investigation, according to the police report. Instead of falling asleep in the shower on the night of December 1st, when Grace was murdered, Jesse used his phone to look up Waitakere Ranges, the hottest fire, and flesh-eating birds. He used his phone for other purposes, though. He even explored several porn websites and shot private pictures with Grace's lifeless body. The prosecution said that Grace's death was calm, purposeful, and intentional rather than the product of physical sex gone wrong. Additionally, the investigators informed the court that on the evening of December 1, 2018, if it hadn't been Grace Mullane, Jesse would have killed someone else. A jury of 5 men and 7 women unanimously convicted Jesse Kempson of Grace Mullane's murder on February 21, 2020. He received a life sentence with a 17-year maximum non-parole. After his application for continuing name ban was denied by the Supreme Court of New Zealand, Jesse Kempson was legally recognized on December 22, 2020. Only at that point did the public learn that he had been found guilty of 9 offenses, including rape, sexual violation, and threatening to kill. New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern officially apologized to Grace Mullane's family after her death garnered tremendous national attention. Following the court's decision, the Mullane family sent an emotional message to the media. They said the murder verdict would be welcomed by all members of the Mullane family and Grace's friends. They also highlighted the agony they had gone through in the previous year and said that while the verdict was nice, it would not make their pain go away. The entire family and lives of those involved have been torn apart since Grace Mullane's murder, which occurred about a year before the verdict was made public. Grace will always be remembered as a lovely, gifted, and devoted daughter, and the family will carry the scars of her horrific murder with them for the rest of their lives. She will be missed because she was the family's bright spot. That was Grace Mullane's situation. Again, thank you for being here. I'm Mark for the time being, and I'll see you in the next True Crime Stories.